everyone. Do you want to say hello? Do you want to say hello, mister? No? This is his hello. It's a very... Do you get that... Oh, that was a burp. You just burped in front of everybody, dude. Oh, that smells, too. You guys do not have smell-o-vision. That was lovely. Thank you for that, Overseer. He's so tired. We're getting ready to head into a heat wave, 100 degrees or more. You're so tired. You're just falling asleep right here. So we went on an early morning long walk. Yeah. Oh, he's so tired. Also, on the news front, is it a news front? Here, you can go down now. We might get another puppy. I don't know what the timeline will be for that, but we are looking currently at the breeder where we got Jones from. Oh, no. Oh, well. And maybe looking for a little sister for him. We'll see. We'll see. But everyone, welcome to Perty Nerdy After Hours. Kind of before hours, but pretty much after hours. It's after hours discussion about world building. It is a cozy creator podcast. We talk about world building, storytelling, tips and tricks, and game design, and all that nerdy rabbit hole stuff. We are. Yes, we are. We are getting maybe in the, I don't know when exactly. I told the breeder in the next 6 months, but just depends on when we find the right one. Yeah, we are. Okay, so let's get started, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm very excited to drop into this particular topic of what's lighting my bulb. What's lighting my bulb? This segment, if you're new, this segment is things that make me go, I should insert the little music clip right here if I could. Interesting news, weird rabbit holes, observations, strange historical facts, my new favorite thing. However, what's lighting my bulb is currently being taken over by a world building series. So these are things that I have been really thinking about when it comes to how to world build. Next in the series, let's see, we talked about what is it, how to get ideas. We started with the big picture in looking at the heavens, the universe. What is beyond your world? What is your universe made of? Is it a multiverse? All that. Well, now I would say that we're kind of taking another step in, but it's like a small step in from universe in the sense that we're going to be talking about gods and cosmic forces. I want to take a look at this because it's kind of tangential to your universe, right? Were the gods did they create the universe? The gods, who or what shaped your universe and or had an impact on your world at that level? I think when we think about gods, when it comes to world building, especially when we're talking about game design, we usually jump straight into, the name of the god, the domains that they represent, any symbols related, and then what powers they might impart to the people who worship them. And those are definitely interesting questions that I want to dig into. But I kind of want to, again, start with the big picture and think about, do you even have gods in your world? What does that look like? Is there a hierarchy? There are some words that I struggle with, and that is one of them. You're late, Geeky, but I can start now. Thank you so much. So yeah, I wanted to take a look at this. Was it one creator that created your universe? Was it many creators? This kind of goes back to the idea of the origin of your universe and what actually created your universe and what do people believe, right? Because it could have been many creators, but once we start trickling down into world building, it could be that the people of your world believe it was one creator, but it was many creators. So there's two sides of this coin to look at. If you have multiple gods, are they rivals? Are they partners? How are they associated with each other if you have more than one? And yeah, I guess that's kind of the relations I want to start thinking about. What people truly know. Do they truly know anything about these gods and how they interact with each other? How they work? How do the gods work in your world? Are they? Let's kind of like now go down one step further. Are your gods all powerful beings that actually shape the world? Do they answer prayers? Like do I know there's some media out there when they have gods, their power is associated to the people who worship them. If they have a large amount of people worshiping them, maybe they are more powerful than other gods. Or are all your gods like equally as powerful to each other? Does the amount of worshipers they have even matter to their level of power? Does it affect that at all? Or maybe it does, and you just have gods that are like, yeah, I don't answer prayers. That's not my gig. Like, no. So that's a really fun thing to think about when it comes to building your gods. Do they walk among your mortals, or are they completely intangible and separate from like your physical world? Maybe this is something I really like to think about too, because whatever you decide upon, it could be that way now, but then when you start thinking about the history of your gods, I mean, they've been around for what, millennia, or are they new? So many things to think about. But what has changed? Like from the very beginning of your universe, have the gods been the same as they are now in current day? Because things could have changed, right? Maybe you've decided, oh, they are all powerful beings. And then think about the history and go, well, maybe they didn't used to be, and now they are? Or have they always been all powerful? Maybe they didn't used to answer prayers, but now they do. That's an interesting thought. Why? Why did they do that? Maybe they used to walk among mortals and now they don't. So thinking about these questions, deciding upon something, and then looking at the history of it or the evolution of it could be a very interesting thing for your world building. Because I don't think everything that you decide upon probably lives in a vacuum. There's something that has been changed over time. Thank you so much, Geeky. Gifting tier 1 subs. Oh, look at that. Thank you so much. And also with a 3 stream watch streak. Thank you. Let's talk about, okay, if we're talking about the history of gods, think about like, if you have a set number of gods, let's say, oh, in my universe, I have 12 gods. Did it always used to be that way? Did the universe start with 12 gods? What if you have more gods now? What does that mean? Like, did you create extra gods? Like, how did they come into being? Or do you have less? Because that's also an interesting question. What happened to 3 of those 12 gods? Something happened and now they're gone. They're dead? Question mark. That's another thing. How do your gods work? Can they die? Do they just disappear off into another realm and they're just inactive? Do they lose their power but they're in existence but they just no longer have any effect? There's so many things that you could do once you think about like just how your gods even work. let's see what else. Oh, so many questions. This whole podcast is just asking questions, I swear. I'm so sorry. But this is the kind of stuff that I think about when I'm world building. We talked about, I mean, gods, I think typically in media are known for, well, if you worship me, you get something. You get a boon, you get powers, you get a cool weapon, whatever it is. What is that for your world? Is it different among the gods? Maybe this god gives powers, but this god gives weapons, but this god gives you a boost to your mind. So thinking about those, and I guess, I mean, as we start kind of building through and we move into societies and their practices and their beliefs, I mean, you can already start thinking about this, but like if they do impart powers, if they do impart something, what do the people have to do in order to get that? But that's probably not where we're at yet. Let's try to like stay, because there's so many ways we can take this when we're building out gods and cosmic forces. I just want to stay with that because, like I said, world building is, it's almost overwhelming when you think about all the different questions that you can answer, that you can think about, and then those things branch off into even more questions. So let's, as you're building your gods and cosmic forces, try to remember to like stick with the god. How does the god work? How does the god's power work? And once we start digging into like the people, we can get into that side of the relationship. How did your gods come into being? I mean, I guess that kind of goes back to like the timeline and, you know, are they all powerful? Have they always been? Or was there even like a big bang to your gods? Like somehow they weren't in existence and then one minute they were. Did they? So far, I have assumed that gods have created the universe. What if they didn't? What if they just arrived and they inherited the universe? That's pretty interesting. But then where did they come from? You like cheese. Blank QZ, is this getting too deep in the weeds? Let's see. So we've talked about these gods being all powerful beings. But what if they're not all powerful? Let's take them a notch down and talk about like superhumans, if you will, right? There are some forms of media where the superhero is treated almost like a god. But they're not infallible. They do make mistakes. They can probably die or lose their powers. But they might be considered gods in your world. I would even say, like, well, are they called gods? There's a show. Oh no, I can't think of it. I think it's called The Good Place. That is such a great show for flipping the perspective of like gods and divinity and, you know, heaven and hell and all that. But there is a particular character who constantly says, not a god, because they keep referring to this person as a god. And it's like, no, but not a god. So is that even what your beings in your world are called? Maybe they're not called gods. Maybe they're called, you know, at Dungeon Studios, we call them Eternals. Not a woman. Yeah. Let's see. So super beings. Do you have super powered beings as your gods? If they're not gods as we know them, what about, I keep throwing out the words cosmic forces, which to me usually starts leaning towards like eldritch beings, ancient cosmic forces. Is that a line from Aladdin? I don't know. Anyway, either way, whatever these beings are, if they're not gods, they have to be more than just your standard human. They are superhuman. They have forces beyond human understanding. And that is why your societies will view them as gods. So these could be beings like primordials. Primordials are older than the gods. They're almost like the living embodiments of creation, like the mountains and the oceans, which is so weird to say that. Like, are they older than the gods? If the gods created your universe, are primordials older than gods? I don't know. Could be, maybe not. But they are typically tied to like the elements and are ancient beings of usually massive proportions. Mountains, oceans, storms, fire, chaos, kind of like elemental-ish beings that are part of the elements of your earth. And reading them is the way you... what if they are jelly beans? Yeah. Super beans. Oh my god. That would be an interesting thought, to have super beings instead of super beings. Anyway, my brain is going to go down the wrong rabbit holes. So we talked about primordials, eldritch beings, eldritch being powers that are incomprehensible, that don't fit like the mortal ideas of good and evil. I mean, we typically kind of think of eldritch as being like dark and evil, but they don't necessarily have to be. I don't think eldritch beings really need worship to exert their powers, their forces. I don't think they need followers even. They just exist. They just are. And they just kind of do what they do. Like, I don't know. We would have to talk further about eldritch beings and like what their motivations would be. This stream has gone so downhill. What are we talking about? They get jealous if you don't eat them. Oh my god, geeky. Come on. I need like the drums. Oh my goodness. Yeah, no beans. No beans during the podcast. Okay. Cosmic forces. Primordials. Eldritch beings. We talked about how involved they are in the world with their people. We talked about, do they answer prayers? What about like miracles? Can they perform miracles? Maybe what they do is seen as miracles. Would they be seen as prophets? Can they see the future? Can they foretell the future? Would they be, or could they have been, chosen heroes that were then like ascended? I kind of also want, I don't know if this would be tied to gods, but I also, when I think about cosmic forces, which may not necessarily be a god, what about fate, right? If you think about religion, there's usually this conversation about fate and where fate falls in line with religion, right? Like, was it always ordained to be this way? Was this always supposed to happen? Do we have any choice? Is fate a cosmic force that we cannot control? Is it a god? Can gods change fate? There's this weird kind of like tug and pull, they're both the same things. Pull and push with, I think, fate and divinity, that I think is a really interesting thing to look at if you're going to spend a lot of time, or if deities are even like an important thing in your world building. I think fate is an interesting thing to look at. Can fate be changed? Who controls fate? Can fate be controlled? Does everyone have a purpose? Does everyone have fate? Oh man, it's so interesting. Is fate something people invented? Like, what if fate didn't exist at all? But, like, people talk about fate. They have to come up with some story in their head to explain things, coincidences. And so fate maybe isn't even a thing in your world. Um, yeah. Uh, will I be taking beans on the cruise? Probably not. Maybe the good jelly beans, the not licorice jelly beans. Yeah, so oh man, I don't even know. Like, just God's world building, all of this stuff seems so big. But I think if you just kind of tackle a little bit at a time, create one God, and think about the history of that God, where they came from, what their part is in the creation of the universe, if at all, and thinking about how a God can evolve over time. When you have so many times, I would also suggest watching Good Omens. I think that is another great example of watching how, granted, like the two main characters aren't necessarily gods, but they do have connections to those realms, and watching how their relationship evolves with each other and with the world and how they look at the world. That can happen with your gods. Maybe your god totally like was in love with how the universe and world was until today. And now all of a sudden something has changed. Why? What changed? Yeah. Let's see. We've talked about any new gods, dead gods. What about forgotten gods? Why were they forgotten? Did they misbehave? And then if they misbehaved, who determined that? Like, who was the judge of that to say you misbehaved, now you must be forgotten? How did that come about? Are there any gods that are loved? Are there any gods that are feared? Are there any gods that are loved that deserve it or don't deserve it? And same thing with feared. There could be gods that are feared that don't deserve it at all. Yeah. I need to watch the second season of Good Omens. Yeah. Man, I'm so bummed. I really want that. I wanted that show to just keep going and going and going. It's such a good show. And I just love I love David Tennant, and I love their relationship with each. Oh, it's so good. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but I just wish it was still around. Yeah. Oh my gosh. If there's any questions from the viewers out here on gods, cosmic forces, I mean, all I really did was just throw out a bunch of questions to think about, because I think world building gods, like, I first of all, world building, I just think there is no right or wrong way. I just think it's like what works for you. And I think what I'm here to do is to help facilitate and help you come up with any questions, because to me world building is constantly asking questions and then answering them, and then putting it all together in a way that I think people can engage with. Did I watch Lucifer? Yes, I did, and I loved that show. Ooh. I mean, what's so funny is I don't know that guy was like my necessarily like he was good looking. In some moments he was pretty hot, but like just the chemistry between him and her, oh, so good. Yes, I loved Lucifer. Yeah, this is a great. I should have probably made my community topic more about what shows and movies and media you could take in to help you think about gods. And I might now maybe pivot my. Let me think about this. I'm going to think about this. I have some world building to do, because now that we are done with lighting I'm thinking. I'm sorry, folks. This week, I have just been crazy prepping for the TTRPG cruise that I'm going to be going on. And my brain is more scattered than usual. I am trying to remember a million things that I don't want to forget before I go. And then I literally had to just, like, I had 10 minutes to start this podcast. I'm as ready as I'm going to be. I have my cozy cult servicing a cookie god. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I would totally make a cookie god, like a god of cookies. Yeah. All right, folks. So, enough meandering. What's lighting my bulb? That was the gods, cosmic forces, all the questions that I have asked myself when it came to world building gods. And since I'm going to be going into my lit RPG writing season in September, deities are a huge part of my world. I have spent a lot of time thinking about these deities. I'm so excited to start writing them. So these are the kinds of questions that I've asked myself, and I hope that they are helpful to you if you are building deities, gods, cosmic forces, eldritch beings, primordials, and all of that. These are the questions that light my bulb. Moving on to the next segment, because it is Ad-Hoc Hooey horror season. This is even more horror. I think this will be the third I can count. I write, folks. I am good at math, but not apparently as good. I think this is the third time that we have done horror, and it's my favorite. We could just keep going on and on and on. But let's see. We've already done, for setting, we have already done Forgotten Carnival and Abandoned Hospital. Let's see what we're going to get today. All right, that is a manor or mansion. So if you're new to Ad-Hoc Hooey, what I usually do is I have a set of prompts for setting, plot, encounter, NPC, loot. I will roll on the random tables, and then I will, on the spot, come up with a story or adventure for it. Since we're doing horror, all these are horror themed. Okay, so manor or mansion, which immediately gives me what's the movie? Oh, not Haunted Mansion. I can't remember the name. House on Haunted Hill? There was a movie where people were paid to stay in a mansion, like, and if they could stay overnight, they like win whatever. I can't remember now. I'm gonna have to look for it and watch it today. But that's where my mind is going first, just with the setting. But let's see what comes up when we roll for plot. No, but 13 Ghosts is a good one. That's a good one. That was also that was like a weird manor or mansion. I haven't watched 13 Ghosts in a while. I'm going to watch that one later today. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, Hach Chewy. Ad-Hoc Hooey. Thank you for reminding me. I have to make the noise. All right, so what I rolled for plot. A loved one returns home after years away, but something's not right. Okay, a loved one returns home, assuming the home is a manor or mansion, after years away, but something's not right. Okay, granted there was no manor or mansion, but there was a movie called Summersby. And if you've never seen it, I really love that movie. It's not horror. But Richard Gere plays a character who looks exactly like someone who has been away from home for a very, very long time. So when he returns, he assumes that man's identity. That's kind of where my brain is thinking right now, but that doesn't feel horror. So let's roll for encounter. Usually these first three really inform what this adventure or story is going to be. And that is, interesting. Okay. I love how these things go together. The encounter is convince the last survivor. So that would be kind of like a social challenge if you were going to run this as a game. Convince the last survivor of what? of what? That this person is who they believe themselves to be? Hold on. All right, I'm going to roll this around. If you guys in the chat think of anything, let me know. We have a manor or a mansion. A loved one returns home after years away, but something's not right. Convince the last survivor. So my brain is now splitting into two different forks. I have what I was talking about before. Someone comes home and they're a fake. They are a replacement. They are not the person they are saying they're supposed to be. And somehow there's the last survivor, and they have to convince them that, like, no, but it's really me. It's really me. It still doesn't feel horror. Where my brain went instead after this, excuse me, manor or mansion, a loved one returns home after years away, but something's not right. Instead of it being the person who returns home that's not right, something at home is not right. So this person has been away, and now they come back home to this manor or mansion. Something's not right with the manor or mansion. Something is wrong. People are dying or getting ill or whatever in this manor or mansion and home. And no one seems to believe the one person, the new person on scene who has just arrived and said, yeah, I've been away. I can tell you right now, everything's different. And so people keep dying because no one's listening to him. In my brain, this person's a him. And so now we're down to the last survivor. And he's like, are you going to listen to me now? Like, I'm telling you, something is off with this house. Very interesting. So let's roll for NPC and see how that changes things. Oh my gosh. I just love it. To me, maybe this is just me. Maybe this is just my brain. But I swear when I roll these things, it's almost like I planned it, or like my dice planned it, because they seem to fit together so well. So for the NPC, I rolled an occult scholar. And that definitely feels like that second story, the second branch, where the person who comes home is the person who is figuring out something has been wrong with this house all along, or something is different now with this house. And maybe this person who has come back home is an occult scholar, or has somehow made it part of their studies. They were away at college and, I don't know, took an interest in the occult and was learning some things. Maybe, you experiment in college. So like maybe they belonged to a cult for a little bit, and then they were like, oh no, I've become part of a cult, peace out. But they have some firsthand experience so that when they come home, I'm trying to think, like, if you've ever watched, I think it's called Midsummer, where everybody's just so, like, happy and calm and peaceful and everything's fine. Everything's fine. But the one person who comes home is like, yeah, this feels really familiar. I've been in a cult. Something's not right. Interesting. Okay. Convince the last survivor. So there would have to be maybe one person. This needs to be like, I need to figure out who all the people are that are here. And maybe that's not something I'm going to do during the stream, but let's see. Let's roll for loot and see what else comes up. Okay, so for loot, okay. Interesting. This has made a little bit of a change. So for loot, I rolled for a music box as loot, which my brain, as soon as I saw a music box, I was like, oh, the music box is the thing that's causing everything to be off or different or killing people. I'm something with this music box, but then that would make it like the bad guy. That wouldn't make it the loot. The music box would then need to be the key to getting rid of. Oh, this is so interesting. Okay. Hold on. The music box would be the key to solving this whole thing. That's what would make it loot. They need to find the music box. The music box has powers. I just recently watched, it's on Netflix, going away soon, Ouija, and then Ouija, the Origin of Evil, or it was the prequel movie. I'm bad with names. I'm not going to remember. But in that one, they kept saying, like, you have to get rid of the Ouija board and this or whatever for, like, everything to work. Like, you have to get rid of it. So, if the music box were going to be how is this going to work? If the Ouija board was going to be, if the music box was going to be the loot, we wouldn't want to get rid of it. But maybe, so this always goes back to what was the history of everything, right? Like, this didn't just happen. Maybe this all happened before in this house. Someone solved it. And then they put the music box away for safekeeping in case we ever needed it again. But then it got lost to time, lost to history. There's like maybe notes and things that this occult scholar will come across as things are unfolding. People are dying. Maybe they're going through the house. Oh, this is interesting. Yeah, they're like packing up the house. Because they're moving out, or because their parents died. They don't want to live in this house anymore. I'm not sure. Ooh, yeah, their parents died. That's the beginning of it all. The parents died. And then people keep coming to the house to pack it up, and then they die. And then as they're packing things up, they find things that give a little bit of clue and context to, oh, there was something in this house before. And the way that we solved it was this music box. But no one knows where the music box is. It's hidden. I do kind of wonder how this all started, though. Because if the evil was always in the house, why wasn't it doing anything before? Why is it activated now? That's something that might be a later problem I'm going to have to think about. Yeah, because my brain's hung up on it right now. But the music box would have to be the loot. They would find it, and then that's the key to solving this thing. Do they play it? Do they play it? I don't know. The encounter was convince the last survivor. So that is we don't have like a BBEG in this encounter. Maybe the BBEG like has taken over the last survivor. So it's like an internal struggle of like, let me play the music box. I could save you. And I don't know. Yeah. This might be the weakest one I've done to date, because I don't feel very settled on all the details of this encounter. And I'm not sure why. I like it all. I just think it doesn't feel as strong a story. I'll have to think about that one more. But I hope that this has lit your bulb and given you some things to think about. I'd be very curious to see how you would have put together that set of data and what story you would have come up with. So it was manor or mansion, loved one returns home, but something's not right, convince the last survivor, occult scholar, and a music box. Geeky in the chat says, a ghost's last song that they sang before being murdered. Oh, I like that. It's in the music box. A ghost's last song they sang. Oh, so it like gets the ghost's attention or puts them at rest? Maybe that's all. Ooh, what if it's, oh, I love this. The ghost, the ghost is doing bad things and killing people, but all the ghost wanted was its music box. Like, that was the last thing. And for some reason, someone kept the music box away from them. And if you give the music, like, I'm convincing the last survivor. I'm not helping the bad guy. I'm just solving this. They need the music box. That would be very interesting. Yes, exactly. All right. I love it. We're on the same wavelength. Well, that was Ad-Hoc Hooey, horror edition, even more horror. I hope you enjoyed that. Now, I wouldn't mind doing, like I said, a community topic talking about movies and things, and maybe in the future I will do that, that go in line with the what's lighting my bulb segment. I did not think that I wasn't that cohesive in my thoughts when I put my outline together. What I did put together for community topic is reluctant heroes, because I've been doing character analysis, and I think I've decided that my main character is going to be a reluctant heroine. I mean, I am going to have a female main character, but I kind of wanted to talk about reluctant heroes because I think that there could easily be some confusion about reluctant hero versus an anti-hero and other types of classic heroes. And so I wanted to take a look at those and pick them apart because I want to make sure I have a clearer idea of who my main character is going to be. So let's see. What is a reluctant hero? Community topic. What to you is a reluctant hero? What examples of a reluctant hero do you like? Which ones do you not like? I would be very curious to find that out. I think that a reluctant hero is an ordinary person, who could be capable, right? They should be capable. Your main character should be capable in something, or else I think they probably would feel like a very weak main character. They should be capable in something, whether they're aware of it or not. But they are thrust into a heroic role. They didn't choose it. That's why it's reluctant. They didn't choose to be the hero. They somehow were thrust into the role. And ultimately, they step into it. I think that's the thing that we love about reluctant heroes is they're always like, no. And then eventually there's that switch where they're like, yeah, let's do this. And that's the moment where you're like, yes, this is what I wanted for my character all along. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I think that's what I love about reluctant heroes is that switch to, oh, now you're a badass. Okay. But ultimately they step up and they will do the right thing because whatever is happening, whatever the crisis is or whatever the issue is, in their mind, there's probably no safe alternative. They feel like they must step up, and they do. They didn't have to, but they choose to in that moment. I think that's what a reluctant hero is. So I want to pick it apart because, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is I want to pick it apart. I don't want my main character, I want to find ways that I can differentiate her, but still take on this reluctant hero role. Okay, so let's talk about the reluctant part. They did not seek this. They may not even want it. They didn't look for it. They didn't want it. And that is, they didn't look for like the power, the glory, the fame, being labeled a hero. Like maybe they just don't even want to be noticed. You're back. What'd you miss? We're talking about reluctant heroes. I'm picking apart reluctant heroes in books, movies, shows, because I think my main character is, I think that's the archetype that I want to have for her. So she goes in not even wanting to be a part of whatever's happening, which I almost feel like for the lit RPG, it's fancy, RPG, for my lit RPG, this would be an interesting thing. I would love to talk to some other authors who have written lit RPGs, because I think inherently for the category, the main character is always thrust into this situation. I don't know of one yet where they chose to go into this other video game or game mechanic type realm. They're usually thrust into it. So maybe that's interesting. I'm wondering if that's informing my decision and I'm unconsciously choosing to have my character be a reluctant hero because that is what the lit RPG genre calls for. Huh. That almost makes me want to dig my heels in and now go a completely different direction for my character. I don't know. I mean, there must be that has to that's going to light my bulb for a while. I'm going to have to think about that. Because I don't like going with the flow sometimes. I don't want. Oh no. Okay, I'm going to break my brain right in front of you all. Okay. Let's move on. Let's assume that I'm going to use reluctant hero for my main character. Not because that's what the genre calls for, but because that's what I want for my character. No desire for glory. Pushed by circumstance, whether that's like danger, responsibility, for whatever reason, they feel obligated, obliged. They feel like they have to do this, even though they don't want to. They will do it because of their ethics, because someone else has forced them to, because it's out of their control. Have I seen Hail Mary? Yes, I have. Yeah, that is a great example of reluctant hero for sure. Oh, that's such a good movie. Yeah, danger, responsibility, or the needs of others force them out of their comfort zone. Yes. And then there's always this internal struggle, right? Because, I mean, it's almost hilarious, I think, for a reluctant hero to be like, you know, mumbling under their breath, like, oh, why am I here? Why did I do this? Like, why did I even say yes? They're kind of focused internally on the fact that they don't want to do this, but they're here anyway. And it's an internal struggle that we as the audience get to enjoy. I don't know. That could be a funny moment. That could be a really funny moment. So let's see. We're talking about reluctant heroes. I don't want my reluctant hero to be an anti-hero, though, which I think some people can make that, like, I don't want to call it a mistake, but you know, they're just two different things. An anti-hero, I think, rides the line of morality. They could be good, they could be bad. It just depends on the moment. And I think anti-heroes, yeah, I don't know how else to say it. Like, I feel like if you're going to compare an anti-hero to a oh my gosh, my brain. Reluctant hero. Anti-hero, reluctant hero. The reluctant hero still is inherently good, but just doesn't want to be a part of this. The anti-hero will lack, like, traditional morals, I think, and may even be selfish sometimes. But I think the reluctant hero, if they were selfish, they would just have said no and would not be there. So there is that. I think that's the major difference to me, is the level of selfishness. Because the reluctant hero will have a moral compass and the anti-hero will not, or won't struggle with that moral compass. Yeah. I think if I make that distinction, that makes it very clear to me, so that when I'm writing my character, I don't accidentally turn her into an anti-hero. So she needs to just always have that moral compass. Cool. Okay. Good for me. See, I'm just talking it out with you guys. This analysis helps me. So let's take a look at some heroes. Are they reluctant heroes? Like, just to kind of see what I might want to pick and choose and take for my character. I love Die Hard. Die Hard is an annual Christmas movie for me. John McClane. I mean, I think he's kind of an anti-hero. He just happens to be, yeah. No, I'm sorry, not an anti-hero. Reluctant hero. See, gosh, I'm going to make that mistake the whole time. Reluctant hero, because he's thrust into those situations. He doesn't choose to be at Nakatomi Plaza. Did I say that right? Anyway, he didn't choose. Well, maybe he chose to be there because he wanted to see his wife. But he didn't choose to be there during raid, ambush, whatever. He just happens to be there. And then is like, well, shit, I'm here. Gotta handle business. Like, that to me sounds like a reluctant hero. And he's capable, right? We want our heroes to be capable. Katniss Everdeen, I think we would call as a reluctant hero. She chose to protect her sister. And so if it weren't for that, she wouldn't have, I don't think she would have just jumped in there and been like, me, I volunteer as tribute. Han Solo is kind of a questionable one, because I think his moral compass does lean toward good, but pretty much riding the line there, I think. I think the only reason he's thrust into any situations that he has to handle is because he's already there doing something that is morally gray already. And then he just happens to be there. And then, yes, he chooses good. So, yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting one. I think he rides the line of being an anti-hero, but that's a hard one. I would be very interested to see what people think. Is Han Solo a reluctant hero or an anti-hero? Can he be both? Can he be both? I don't know. All right, I'm going to come back to Han Solo. Cuz Han Solo is like a beloved character. And now I want to understand, what is it? Could I make a main character that is a Han Solo? Han Solo, like, no, I don't think I could. Because Han Solo wasn't going to be the guy that's going to blow up the Death Star. No, he wouldn't have volunteered for that. That's why we needed Luke. Han Solo, I don't think can be my main character. Okay. All right. Okay. Dropping the analysis for Han Solo for the minute. Ellen Ripley. Ellen Ripley, I think, is only a reluctant hero in that first movie. After that, I don't think that she kind of gets thrust into the situation for every movie, but, like, there's very little hesitance or reluctance on her part. I think, if anything, the second she thinks there's an alien presence, she jumps on board right away because she knows she's the only one that can handle it. So that's also another questionable, like, if I'm going to use her as a reluctant hero model, I would have to only look at the first movie. And in that case, I've talked about Ellen Ripley before. I feel like Ellen Ripley was not really a remarkable character until after the first movie, or like at the very end of the first movie. She's not, she was just there. I'm saying thrust a great deal. Is she a hero? I mean, she won the day at the end of the movie-ish. Yeah. So, I think so. I just don't know if she's a great model. Because aside from knowing where her character leads in the future movies, if you watch that first movie and you put yourself in the mindset that, like, I have never seen any of these movies before, I'm coming in fresh, you don't really pay attention to her character until she's forced to take action, which is later in the movie. Like, so I just feel like her character being a reluctant hero and modeling off of her is like, I don't want my main character to be invisible until she's forced to act. So I don't know. Interesting. Frodo Baggins. Frodo. Again, I mean, I guess he's kind of a reluctant hero. I don't know why I scratch my head a lot. People always do that in movies when they're thinking, and I always thought that looks so stupid, but I actually do it. Frodo. Yeah, Frodo's thrust in. I'm saying thrust again. Thrust into the limelight because he's the only one who can carry the ring. And he doesn't really fight too hard to say no. So, but there is a level of, interesting to think of reluctant hero. Like, what makes a reluctant hero? It's not the level of how much you say, no, I don't want to be a part of this. Because some of these characters really don't hesitate too much about it. They just are told that, well, you're the only one. And they're like, damn it, I'm the only one. And then they just go and they just do it. I guess that still makes a reluctant hero, but I like more that they complain throughout. I think that's what it is. The level of internal struggle, to me, I find entertaining. This is really good stuff. I love doing this stuff with you guys because this is all stuff as I'm talking it out loud. When you read a book and you're reading a physical book, right? You don't notice it, but you don't read every single word. Sometimes your brain will skip over a few words because you know exactly where the sentence is going. Or even you might just glance through a paragraph, knowing where that paragraph is going. They arrived back home, they doused the light, they went to bed. You're not reading every single word about what shape the lamp looks like and the bed and the covers and the temperature of the room. Like, sometimes your brain will actually skip across those words and just form the whole idea of, that's how details can get lost sometimes. You can read a book and then talk to somebody else who read that same book and they'll go, oh, did you love that thing? And they're like, oh man, I totally missed that. How'd I miss that? You guys read the same book. You read the same words. Your brain just probably maybe skipped over that particular detail. And I think as I'm kind of thinking about this story that I'm going to write, this book I'm going to write, knowing what I know about writing, I could very easily just skip over this because I understand I want a reluctant hero. But having done this process forces me to talk it out loud and think about things that I wouldn't have otherwise. I'm literally like grabbing every word of the sentence, if you will, if I were reading, and really makes me look at what I like and I don't like. This is such a good exercise. I'm telling you, folks, I would highly suggest this for you all as well. I'm finding it to be valuable because now I understand what I want in my reluctant hero and what I don't want. And what I want is a lot more internal struggle. I really like this. Let's see. I don't think horror movies really have heroes. They have people that are going against the antagonist only because they are trying to survive. Yeah. That is an interesting thought when it comes to the horror genre, because in a sense, like, the monster or whatever it is kind of the main character. It's not the protagonist that is always the main character. Sometimes look at Terrifier. Oh boy. Yeah. Terrifier, the evil thing, is the main character. That's an interesting thing to think about. So yeah, even the people in the movies, of horror movies, would they be? I guess you could. Hold on. let's take a look at what a hero is. What does hero mean? A person who is admired or idealized for courage, outstanding achievements, or noble qualities. I guess it depends on your definition of hero then. Google's definition makes it sound like whoever's fighting against the evil entity in a horror movie would then be the hero. But I agree with you that it doesn't necessarily feel like they're doing heroic acts. They're just surviving, and they happen to be better than anyone else at it, and that's why they've survived. Noble, huh? Yeah. Interesting. Google's definition for hero. Or noble qualities. Yeah, I don't think your hero has to have noble qualities. This goes back to, anti-heroes. Sometimes you're the hero because you have to be, which I think also is a reluctant hero. Yeah. Anyway, hey, folks, I really appreciate that. I appreciate the folks in the chat who help me kind of process my thoughts as we go through this community topic. Reluctant heroes. If you have any other examples of reluctant heroes and you want to share them in the chat or wherever you're finding this, will probably be a little clip somewhere on the internet. Yeah, I'd love to take a look at other reluctant heroes, because to be fair, my list of reluctant heroes was not very long, but I can't imagine that there aren't many more out there that I didn't think about. There has to be many more out there, and I would love to kind of have a wider sample of reluctant heroes to continue this analysis, if you will. To be fair. Thank you, chat. All right, so let's wrap up. Encouragement of the day, or homework, if you will. We were talking about deities, cosmic forces. And as you are building out your deities and cosmic forces, I would encourage you, as I mentioned before, take one deity that you have created. And I want you to think about the evolution or history of this God, this being, because I do think I would be very hard pressed to say that a deity has remained the same for all of eternity. I challenge you to think of something that has changed over the timeline of your deity and what prompted that change. Because I think that it's just a very interesting thing to look at when you're looking at an eternal being. There must have been at least a blip somewhere in that eternalness that had an impact on the God. So that is my encouragement of the day, my homework. Hey everyone, Letterkenny is the best. I think it's time to wrap up this episode of Perty Nerdy After Hours. I appreciate you all being here. I will be gone next week on a cruise. However, I have a guest that will be appearing on my After Hours. It's a pre-recorded episode. We've split it up into 2 episodes. So you're going to get to meet Kelly Williams. Kelly Williams is part of Maximum Roll Entertainment. I will be sharing out some links. It was an extremely interesting conversation, and I can tell you that because I said we were only going to talk for an hour, and we talked for 2.5 hours. And then I said, okay, I'm not cutting any of this. Let's split it up into 2 podcasts. So next week will be an episode with Kelly Williams where we are just doing a bunch of chatting about world building. And then the second episode with Kelly Williams will be us going through Ad-Hoc Hooey and what's lighting my bulb and world building. And I think we talk about the rules of reality. That's what it was. Very interesting. The rules of reality. What are the rules of reality in your world? All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. I appreciate you all. I will see you. I'll be on tomorrow doing a villains music with world building stream. So I hope to see you tomorrow. Thanks, everyone.